Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Nabe. I'm so happy you're here. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to share what I love to do with all of you. So on this Wednesday evening, March 9th, I'm going to share one of my favorite suites from the mini catalog, and that is the Flowering Fields suite. Yes, the Flowering Fields suite. This will look backwards to you. But it's one of those super mega suites that has 2 bundles with it. It also includes DSP, a ribbon, and those beautiful brushed brass butterflies. Does anybody have the butterflies? I love those. The wonderful thing about those, not only are they beautiful, but they are not very thick. They're actually very thin, very flat. So they're wonderful embellishments to put on your cards, to brighten them, add some cheer, add some interest, but they don't create bulk. So they're wonderful for mailing your cards. I'm going to flip my camera around now. I'm going to show you a few of the products. And I've got a great, what I think is a great card to show you today. And we're using one of those bundles from the Mega Suite this evening. And then my Friday Facebook Live will use the other bundle. So I'm happy to show you both of those projects, one today and one on Friday. While I flip my camera around, I would appreciate it very much if you would share this live video so others can join us too. All right, I am ready to begin. I'm so excited. You know, the crazy weather, warmed in one day, cold the next, bright and sunny, dark and dreary, snow. We get it all this time of year, especially in the month of March, it seems. But I was out today running errands. It was beautiful. It was bright. It was sunny. And wow, doesn't it just change your mood, really lift your spirits? And then it gets me thinking about all the spring flowers to come. And I will say that I was looking at my little garden bed in front, and I've got probably 2 to 3 inches height, maybe 4 inches height on some of my, I'm trying to think, what did I plant? Did I plant daffodils or tulips? I can't remember. Maybe I did both. Isn't that awful? So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes up. I love spring when things start to bloom and blossom. Every day looks a little bit different. Love it. All right. So as I said, the Flowering Fields suite is a mega suite. It has 2 wonderful bundles, stamp and die bundles. Tulip Fields is what I'm going to be using tonight. And then in Friday's Facebook Live, we're going to be using Flowering Tulips. And the main focus of that, we're probably going to do 2 cards, but the main focus of that is to show you how to put all these pieces together. Some of them are folded, they're layered. So how do we put all these pieces together to make the beautiful tulips? So that is Friday's Facebook Live, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So you'll want to be sure and catch that. I will have those handy dandy charts, just like I did for the daffodils, to help you build your flowers. I also, even though we're not using the Designer Series paper tonight, I did want to take some time to show it to you because it is very striking. It's bright, it's beautiful, and the DSP alone can make beautiful cards. And really, you could just use some of the beautiful DSP, maybe a couple punches or die cuts, and add a sentiment, and it's gorgeous. You wouldn't necessarily have to stamp any tulips. You wouldn't necessarily have to build any tulips with the die cuts. But anyways, this is, I'm just going to show you the paper really quickly because you know I love DSP. And I'm actually going to be, the stamping I'm going to be doing is kind of going to be replicating what you see here on that one. Here's the back side. This is gorgeous too. I love the rich raspberry, Highland Heather, and fresh freesia. But look, every page is so different, but yet really striking. That's kind of an unusual color for sky, isn't it? But the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. Kind of gave me the idea of seeing an evening sky when the sky is turning sort of a pink and orangey. So as you can see, in addition to the tulips, the flowers on one side, we also have patterns and colors on the reverse side that work very well. I'm actually going to show you how to stamp the Tulip Fields using these two basic stamps. So when we're finished, what we stamp will look similar to this, where you see the Tulip Fields, the different colors, and kind of has that perspective with everything going to that main point. I know there's a term for that, so any of you artists out there watching, is it just point of perspective? I don't know. All right, I'm starting with some basic white cardstock. This measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And to stamp the first part of it, I am going to use my Stamparatus. Because this is a photopolymer stamp set, you want to have some extra cush here. This works fine just like this with our rubber stamps because the rubber provides you that cushion. But with photopolymer, we need something more. So I'm just using the, what's it called? The Deluxe Stampin' Mat, I think it's called. And whenever, I am going to say, because when I do this, we are going to be stamping off. So yes, I could use the grid that's right on this Deluxe Stampin' Mat, but because I'm stamping off and I don't want to get my surface area all yucky and inky, I am going to use that grid paper. So this small grid paper is made just for our Stamparatus, but I know some people like to use it all the time in their card making, whatever they're doing, just because it's a little bit smaller size and easier for them to work with. Now, to make the flowering fields, and I don't want this at the top because I want there to be some sky behind those tulip fields. So I'm just going to lay this across my cardstock, approximately 1 inch from the top. And I'm going to give you a tip. This stamp will fit on this clear block. I believe this is block I. It will fit on here. However, it's harder for me to get that straight across on this block. So that's why I've chosen to use the Stamparatus for this. Because I'm using that grid paper, I can line up the top edge on both the left and the right with the a line on the grid. I can also center this left to right simply by looking at the grid. Once I have that in place, I'm going to press that down and pick up my stamp. Before we add ink to our photopolymer stamps, it will kind of pull up your cardstock. So you want to reset your cardstock and use the magnets to hold it in place. If you've noticed, when I've used the Stamparatus in the past, I always like to start in this corner, either right above the logo or on top of the Stampin' Up! Logo. It just helps me set it back into place each time. If I'm doing multiples, then I don't have to worry about marking the edges on my sample and then repeating. It just makes it quick and easy. Now I'm going to be using 2 colors of ink each time I stamp. For this first bit of stamping, I'm using Highland Heather, And then I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape. And I need, let's see here. I'm going to use a sponge dauber. And I'm just going to tap this lightly on top. I don't want to press too hard, because if I press too hard, there's a piece of scrap paper. This is what happens. I make little circles. So I want it to look kind of random. So I might just tap it lightly. I might even just add some ink by tapping the edge. The cool thing about this too is you can make lots of these and they're all going to look a little bit different. Each one will be unique. Oops. You can see I missed a little bit of pressure there. So I'm just going to go back over that and press. Perfect. That's another great thing about the Stamparatus. If you don't press hard enough in one place, you don't have to worry about re-inking and stamping and being able to line it up. The Stamparatus does the lining up for you when you have to re-stamp something. Now I'm going to, and just to get this out of my way, I'm going to take this off. When you take off the stamping plates, they need to be in a perfectly vertical position. You can see they don't lift out any other position. They have to be vertical and then they lift out really easily. So I'm going to set that aside for now. And now I'm going to use this stamp. On this stamp for the Flowering Fields, it will fit on, again, on block I, but it'll also fit on this one. What is this, D or E, I think? So use whichever one feels more comfortable in your hand. I'm choosing to use this one. Now, when I re-ink this stamp, I'm going to use the very same process and the same color inks. So I'm stamping, whoops, I think that was the wrong one. Let me redo that. I prefer to use the lighter ink first. So I'm going to, let me double check this time. So I'm going to, I need a paper towel because I got a little bit of water there and I don't want that to drip on my cardstock. So I'm going to tap this very well with the Highland Heather ink. Then I'm going to use my sponge dauber in the Gorgeous Grape ink. And I'm just going to tap it lightly, just randomly. Sometimes I even like to tap by turning the dauber on its side. But the point is to do it randomly. And you don't want to press so hard, again, that you make that circle with your dauber, because then it's going to look like polka dots in your tulip field. So now I'm going to stamp the center part. So just turn, I can keep it on the Stamparatus, but you want to turn this so that whatever way is easiest for you to stamp and to see. So what I'm trying to do is put the tip, the point of this triangle right up here in this space. And if for some reason you don't get it perfect, do not worry. When you finish, it's going to look fabulous no matter what. You can see mine's a little more to the right rather than in the center because it's touching the tip of that right triangle, but not the left. Really, when I finish, it's going to look great. So don't get too hung up about that kind of thing. Now, I'm going to add some other colors. So let me put these two away. Again, that was Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. My next set of colors, I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo and Poppy Parade. Once again, I'm going to ink up the stamp with the lighter color. So I'm using Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to leave that out because I'm going to stamp this twice. Then with a sponge dauber, I'm going to add some Poppy Parade. And again, just very lightly tap some color on there randomly. And you've noticed when I have chosen my colors for the pears, the colors are pretty close together, so they're going to blend nicely. And then I'm going to stamp, hold on, let me put this here. So I'm going to stamp right here. Obviously, the whole stamp does not fit there. And again, I'm aiming to get the point of this triangle right up in here. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to repeat those same colors right here. I find there's not quite as much variation in color. Look, I forgot to, did you see what I did there? I forgot to clean my ink pad from those purples, or clean my stamp from the purples, and it got on my Flirty Flamingo ink pad. So I'll have to clean that up later. I'll pull some of that ink up with a paper towel. But you do want to have your Simply Chamois close by so you can clean up the ink from your stamp before you switch colors. You can, if you want more variation in the colors, you could go lighter. You could do Petal Pink with the Poppy Parade, or Fresh Freesia with the Highland Heather or the Gorgeous Grape. Just a matter of preference, kind of just play with the colors and see what appeals to you. All right, so I'm cleaning this really well with my Simply Chamois. I'm going to put these two colors away. And next I'm going to work with Daffodil Delight and Mango Melody. So ink it up really well with the Daffodil Delight. And then I'm going to apply the Mango Melody with the sponge dauber. Now you wouldn't even have to add a second color if you don't want to. If you want to keep it simple, just stamp one color of the purple. Just stamp Poppy Parade without the Flirty Flamingo, or vice versa, or just stamp the Daffodil without the Mango Melody, or vice versa. The other thing, to add even more variation, you could add a third color here. You can see I'm off a little bit there, but in the end, it's all going to be fine. I'm not going to worry about that. Sometimes we get caught up in those details because we are the ones creating. We know every little detail, every tiny mistake we make. But remember that the people receiving your card, unless it's a big blunder, then of course I would maybe redo the stamping or find a way to hide my blunder. But remember, the people receiving the card are seeing the whole picture. They're seeing everything at once. So they don't necessarily notice those kinds of details in your cards. Oh, that's lined up a little better. Okay, so this is what I have so far. Now I want to add some sky. And I'm going to do that with my blending brush and the Pool Party ink pad. Now, if you wanted to use sponge daubers to do that, great. If you wanted to add a strip of cardstock, or perhaps even the back of one of these DSPs from the Flowering Field pack, you could do that as well. But I'm using Pool Party ink and a blending brush. If I want to make it a little bit darker, I just add a little more ink. Remember, when you're using blending brushes, start on your scrap paper first and then move to the cardstock. The reason for that is if I would put too much ink on this and I just set it down and start blending, I might end up with something like this starting out, or the color's a little too heavy. This way I can see what it's like and then move it across my cardstock. All right, let's turn this into a card. And then I'll point out a couple other things about this process after we turn this into some kind of card. So I'm going to have you help me out for this step. Somebody tell me, what color card base should we use for this? And while you're doing that, I'm actually going to get out my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, because we're going to die cut with some of these. Hi there, Joan. Hi, Kathy. I'm so glad you joined us. Pat, your grid paper should not slide on the Stamparatus if you're using those magnets, the magnet bars that come with the Stamparatus. You want to use those magnets. All right. I think for this one, I'm going to use the bicycle. And I think I'll use the tree as well. Now, there is a stamp for this tree. Oh, some of you are saying the purple shades. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp a tree. And let's see, I need a green. How about something super bright? I'm going to go with Granny Apple Green. And then I'm going to just use my Stampin' Write marker in Early Espresso for the trunk. And then I'll use a sponge dauber and add some more dimension by applying the Garden Green ink. Whoops. By the way, every time I use my sponge dauber, somebody asks me about my storage. All you need to do is look up sponge dauber storage on Amazon, and you'll be able to find that. I got it several years ago, so I really don't have a link to share with you, but all you have to do is look up sponge dauber storage, and you should be able to find something. I'm going to go over that trunk again, just in case I hit it with the Garden Green. And I'll stamp this on a piece of scrap white. Whoop, that's so much. When you add more than one color, sometimes you do need to huff on this, breathe heavily, and that remoistens any of the inks. Look at the difference in the green tones in there. You see that? Isn't that cool? Just like in the tulips. So I'm going to, let me snip some of this off. I'm going to cut this out, and at the same time I cut out my tree, I'm also going to cut out my bicycle from a scrap of basic black. You can make your bicycle any color you want. I'm going to keep it simple here and just use basic black. Okay, my thumb got caught on the scissors. Anytime you can die cut more than one image at a time. Oh, let me move this up. You're not quite seeing that, are you? Anytime you can die cut more than one image is great. Just a little time saver. I think I'm going to actually put a little bit of washi tape on that tree so I make sure it's centered in the die. Of course, I don't need to do that with the bicycle because I'm just cutting out cardstock. I'm not stamping and then cutting. In fact, there is, for this set, there is no, and let me till you see how cute this bicycle is, but there is no stamp for the bicycle. And because there's lots of detailed cuts in that bicycle, I'm just going to go back through it. So there's my tree, very nice. And, whoops, my bicycle wants to stick there. So I'm just going to use my Take Your Pick tool. Does anybody have the Take Your Pick tool? I love it. Now these pieces are super tiny, so it did leave many of them in, but as you can see, they're just popping right out. So they're cut, but they just didn't all hang on to the cutting plate. And I could use my die brush, but honestly, these pieces are so small, I would rather not use the die brush. I don't want to take a chance of tearing any of these teeny tiny pieces of the bicycle. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? The little basket and everything. Let me put it there so you can see it a little better. All right, let's get this out of the way. And I think we agreed on purples. Right, the old piercing tool is no longer available, but we do have the piercing end on our Take Your Pick. Okay, so let's go with, should we do Gorgeous Grape? Let's do Gorgeous Grape. I feel like I don't use Gorgeous Grape nearly as often as I do Highland Heather. So let's put this one to work. And you probably all know this trick, but you can score one sheet of cardstock in half and then cut it in half the opposite direction. So one score line, one cut, and you make two card bases. Just as easy to do two as it is to do one, so why not? Anything I can do to save myself time, right? So I'm going to add this here. Has anybody been to the Tulip Festival in Michigan? I've never been to that. I have been to see some tulip fields when I was in the Netherlands, which was really very, very cool. Okay, I think it would look neat with another tree, but for now I'll just put the one on. I know, isn't that bicycle too cute, Pam? Honestly, that I think is my favorite part of that die set. The windmills are great, but they're expected, right? With the tulip fields, but I will say, though, when I was in the Netherlands, I was amazed at how many bicycles you saw. More people would bicycle places than they would driving. And there would be huge parking lots full of just bicycles. Think of like a big mall parking lot full of bicycles. And for as much as they ride, I've got one little triangle, there it is. For as much as they ride, I would have thought, I mean, they ride to the market, they ride to work, they pick their kids up and drop them off at school with bicycles. They're just everywhere. And I anticipated, or I thought that the bicycles would be kind of fancy, you know, speed bikes and decked out. And they're not. They're actually just very simple, ordinary pedaling bikes. I think it would be neat if I lived someplace where I could bicycle to all the places I wanted to go. All right, there's my card. Let's see. And, you know, I'm not even going to put a sentiment on. You can put any, yes, with the gas prices, we ought to be using our bicycles. Absolutely. Yes, buy stock in bicycles. You've got it, Marty. I'm not going to leave or put a sentiment on here. I'm going to leave it without one because whoever wins this card tonight can then add their own. So I am going to be giving away this card, and to be entered into the drawing to receive it, I would like you to type in the comments Tulip Fields. That way you'll remember the name of the bundle, Tulip Fields. So go ahead and do that now. It's going to look perfect with a sentiment right up here. So whoever gets this, I'm curious to see what sentiment you'll add and how you're going to use it, who you're going to send it to, and for what occasion. A couple of things I want to show you. I won't make another card, but I do want to show you a couple variations of the flowering fields, and I'll do it kind of simply and easily. So we won't be doing as many different colors. But for this, once again, I'm going to use my Stamparatus, and I'm going to start with 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of cardstock, but of course you could make it any size you want that will accommodate the stamps. I'm going to again start out with that main piece. You already saw earlier in the video how I got started on this, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. Okay, so instead of starting where I did, I'm going to start more towards the middle. Oh, my stamp was a little bit wet. Let me get a different piece. I should have dried that with a paper towel first. I think my Simply Chamois is a little too juicy with water. What I wanted to show you with this is you can go circular with this. You can take those flowering fields all the way around. So I'm going to put this basically at the center mark. To think about this. Yeah, so I'm going to have that right at the middle, which happens to be 2 inches for this particular piece of cardstock. I'm looking at the lines on my grid paper to do my best to get it straight across, as well as centered from left to right. And then I'm going to pick up that stamp with the stamping plate. Remember, before you add ink to that photopolymer stamp, it will cling to your cardstock and pick up the cardstock. Yeah, now I think I'm ready. And for this demonstration, I'm just going to, let's see, we're going to do all Highland Heather. I'm not going to add the second color. I'm just going to keep it simple for the sake of time, because you know how to add additional colors. Now I can do a couple of things. I could turn that stamp and go this way, so I'm going all the way around this way and this way. See what I mean? Instead of doing that though, I'm just going to, and for this purpose of demonstration, I'll use Poppy Parade and Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to start with the Poppy Parade, bring in that other stamp. Oh, I forgot to do my middle one. That's okay though, because I just want to show you very quickly. And move your paper, your cardstock, wherever you need to make it easy to stamp. And cleaning it with my Simply Chamois, and now I'm going to ink it up with the Daffodil Delight. I'm not taking the time to really center the different rows of the Tulip Fields, but you're getting the idea. What would be next? I can do a purple next. Let me clean this off. Remember to clean your stamp between colors so that we're not contaminating our ink pads. Contaminating sounds horrible, doesn't it? It's not like it's poisonous or anything, and it can easily be fixed and cleaned, but you know what I mean. And then I would go here, and I just keep going all the way around. So now I'm going to go back to the Poppy Parade. And then I'll do the daffodil. So you're getting the idea here, right? So in essence, I'm kind of making a starburst. You get that? Now the other thing I could have done is put this first stamp straight across here, maybe in a different color, and then the final color would fit in perfectly. But for this quick demonstration, I'm just gonna finish up with more Poppy Parade. Now think about this. Let's try this. Say I don't care about the flowering field so much. I don't really care about the tulips, but look what I can do as far as making a starburst. So I'm going to start with So Saffron. I'll turn these this way. So I'm going to do So Saffron Daffodil Delight, and Mango Melody. And I'm even going to skip that first part with this stamp, just to show you, to get an idea of what this would look like. And you don't necessarily have to stamp in the start in the center either. And I might even make it rainbow, go into pumpkin and then the reds. But I'm going to just keep working with my yellow. So I'm back to So Saffron. Then I'm back to Daffodil Delight. Again, my spacing's not great because I'm just hurrying to show you, give you a quick idea of what the starburst would look like. You could do this with any colors you want. So you get the idea, right? And then you would just continue and finish up. So just a different way to apply the Flowering Fields stamp. One other thing I want to show you is changing the perspective. We were using, I'm going to turn it vertical for this demonstration. So we were using start in the same place by that Stampin' Up! Logo like I like to do. I'm going to use this again. Let me wipe this off a little bit. And I'll set this in place. Now before, remember we started pretty much in the middle. This was the center of this piece was right in the center of our cardstock. I'm going to change it up this time. And, oops, I'm going to go down a little bit. I'm going to put it off center. Make it go more towards the left. I'll straighten it out. And watch how it changes. I did it again. Too wet, Mary. I saw my friend Marty on here. She's I call her out every time I see her name pop up on a Facebook Live because she's my artist friend. She's taught me things about perspective and balance. I don't think she even knows that she's taught me all that, but she has, and I am grateful for it. All right, so then I can go back into my other one. Let's do what is this? I'm going to do Daffodil. I think that's this. Yes. Oh, I should do that center purple first. And I shouldn't be saying purple, it's Highland Heather, right? A lot of times you'll see me move my cardstock around to get it to a position where I can see things more clearly at different angles and perspectives, and to hold things in place more the way I want. Now let's go in with the poppy color. And you can see why that grid paper here is so important, having some kind of scrap paper so I'm not getting that ink everywhere. I go on this side. Doesn't quite reach to the bottom, does it? but I'm gonna fix that up. Look what I do here. Okay, that worked, didn't it? So if you have the set or when you get it, you really just want to spend some time with some scrap paper and just kind of play with this. Play with the different angles and the spacing and the colors. All right, but you get the idea. Look at the difference in perspective here than here. All right, this would be a great place now to put a windmill, but everything's directed there. Here it's directed more towards the middle. I could move it over and it goes more to the right. But again, something for you to just kind of play around with. You know, if you want to hang on, I'll go ahead and finish this card, and then I can give 2 cards away tonight. How's that? Again, when you're using the blending brush, start off on scrap paper and then move to your cardstock. If you want to make it darker, bolder, just add a little more ink and go over it again. You could also add that color with sponge daubers if you want. I'm going to close all of these up. How about if we, let's see, how big is our windmill? Oh, yeah. How about if we put a windmill there on this card? I'm going to get all of these closed up though, because I can just picture myself having a ink pad disaster. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, I've had one end up on my lap one time. It caught my sleeve and whatnot. Or I put my arm in it. All right, so for this, I'm going to stamp my windmill in Memento ink. Because, does anybody know why I'm choosing Memento ink versus maybe StazOn ink? Does anybody know why? Because I'm going to choose to color this in with my Stampin' Blends. So when you're using Stampin' Blends, the let's see here, the recommended black ink to use would be the black Memento ink. Okay, that's what we use with Stampin' Blends. I'm trying to think. You know, I'm going to change it up. I pulled gray granite, but I think I'll use something different. How about smoky slate? And I'm going to add some poppy to that. And how about a little bit of cinnamon cider? The cinnamon cider I'm going to use just up on this window here. That's cinnamon cider light. Then I love a red door. You might have heard me say this before. Like when I'm traveling, especially like going to Europe, I'm always in search of a red door. And there's actually a beautiful church in downtown Columbus that has the most gorgeous bright red doors on it. Actually, several sets of bright red doors. And I don't know why, but I adore that place. I've never even been inside that church. I don't even know what kind of church it is. But I adore their red doors. And then not too far from there, there's another church that also has red doors, but they're faded and just just don't look as nice. And I want to say, hey, keep up with the other church. Paint up those red doors. Yes, so alcohol markers, you want to use Memento ink. That is because your Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based. The Memento is water-based, okay? The Stays On you want to use with our regular Stampin' Write markers, because the Stays On is a permanent ink, but the Stampin' Write markers are water-based. So it's just kind of like, if you remember, magnets, opposites attract. The same is true for ink in your markers. So if you got more of a water-based ink with alcohol markers, and then vice versa. Good question. And then I'm going to fill this in with light smoky slate. Has anybody been to the Netherlands, Holland? Oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful place. I would love to have the opportunity to go back there. You know, I think I'm going to do the windmill behind that fence walkway with this poppy parade also. It makes it stand out. And then, now we will be die cutting most of this, but just, I'm going to add some of this Pool Party ink just to blend it in a little bit. Where's my scrap paper? Because obviously we would see the sky through these blades of the windmill. And around the edges. And then I'm ready to die cut that. But remember in that other card I said I felt like it needed another tree? I'm going to stamp another tree. You okay with that? So ink it up with my Granny Apple Green. I will add some Garden Green with a sponge dauber. I'm sure that's the right one. And then lastly, I will go over just the trunk part with an early espresso Stampin' Write marker. Huff on it, breathe heavily, and stamp, and then it too is ready to be die cut. Pool Party does sound fun. Isn't that a great name? I always think, I don't know how they come up with the names for Stampin' Up! Colors, but I think that would be a fun job. Just like when I get my nails done and I'm choosing a color, I usually pick my color like very quickly. Something strikes me, I'm like, okay, go for it. I'm not often trying to match or anything like that. But sometimes I enjoy just sitting there looking at all the names of the colors. And I always picture, do you do this? I picture the people whose job it is to choose the names of the polishes. I just picture them sitting around, having a glass of wine, maybe eating a fancy salad, and they come up with all these funny names. They pick a theme and they just come up with all these creative names for the colors. So I'm not sure how they do it at Stampin' Up!, to be honest. I don't know if it's a group of people or they brainstorm. I really have no idea. I don't think they'd be drinking wine though. Oh, darn it. Have that all nice in place. Oh, and by the way, if you don't already know this, our mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine is on sale this month only. This month only, 20% off. So you get the mini machine and you get all the plates you need to start out with. Mine obviously are old and used, but it comes with directions on plate number 1. You get 2 of the clear cutting plates. You also get, I believe it's 2 additional plates that can be used with our small embossing folders. But normally $60. This month only, you can get it for $48. So it's a 20% savings. And you gotta love that. Gotta love a good sale. Oh yeah, but I think I wanna move this tree down even more. So I'm gonna pull it up gently. Not too bad, Mary. I'm gonna reapply dimensionals to that since I picked it up and moved it. And then whoops, that's too many. Oh my gosh, that bicycle is too darn cute. Does anybody else love it as much as I do? I know, Pam, I know you do. I'll put this a little lower there. That's better. There, and still plenty of room to put a sentiment on the front or on the inside if you like. Let's add the windmill to this layer, the stamped layer. This was a quick version of using those flowering fields or flowering tulip stamps. And let's go ahead and add this. I'm going to use, because we did not use Gorgeous Grape that time, we used only Highland. Oh, you know what? Let's put it on Poppy Parade. I think I have. Yeah, let's put this on Poppy Parade. Oh, yeah. I know I get a little excited about the colors, but ooh, I love that. Nice. What do you think? Again, plenty of room to put a sentiment anywhere you like on the front, or you can choose to put a sentiment on the inside. Great for any occasion. Okay, not too bad of a card for creating on the fly. Like I said, my intention was to make one card with you, but I wanted to show you. Where's the one where oh, this is the one that I changed the perspective, scooted over so it's not perfectly centered, and then give you some idea of how you can use that stamp to create a starburst as well. What are you saying? I have to put my glasses on. You are very talented, Mary. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, Pam. You guys make my day. I'm going to scroll back here. We used to ride our bikes at the campground with our dogs in the basket. Oh, how fun. How fun. Awesome bike. I'm scrolling back quickly to see if I may have missed any questions. Oh, Tulip Fields in Mount Vernon, Washington. Okay, I didn't even know. Maybe I need to put that on my bucket list. Jenny asked, is it bad to use StazOn with the blends? It is not recommended. Okay, I'll put it that way. It's not recommended. Let me see. Oh, Vicky's watching from Crawfordville, Georgia. I have not heard of that city in Georgia. What part of Georgia is that in? Okay, I think We talked about the grid paper. No, you don't want that grid paper to slide on your Stamparatus. That's why you want to use the magnets. All right. They're very strong magnets. In fact, that's why one is shorter, because at one time I had them too close together. If they get too close together, they'll just attract and snap together and can possibly break. But your Stamparatus does come with 2 of these magnets. You can see the broken one works just fine, so that's what I use, but they do sell replacement magnets. All right, any other questions? Oh gosh, I'm going late with you people tonight. All right, so sorry to keep you late. Kathy, thank you. I'm going to be honest and tell you, it's not that I'm addicted to people's praise, but that's kind of my love language. Your compliments, your enthusiasm, your participation, it's what motivates me to keep on creating and keep on sharing, to keep doing what I love and sharing it with all of you. That's very, very motivating for me. You just have no idea. You have no idea. Every once in a while, somebody will send me a card, or I get comments like this in a Facebook Live, or people will comment on a YouTube video or send me an email. And it's very, very rewarding, and I truly appreciate it. But I want you to know that is what motivates me. So thank you. All right, everybody, have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. And please join me on Friday at 2 p.m. because I will be using the other bundle from the Flowering Fields Suite. This one is called Flowering Tulips, and I'm going to show you how to, and I'll have charts, I'm going to show you how to use all these different tulip pieces, how to fold them, how to layer them, how to put them together to make beautiful die-cut tulips. All right, good night. I'll see you Friday. Happy stamping.